So behind us is the 2025 Evo spec of the M4 GT3 car, and a GT3 car in general throughout the paddock and all manufacturers has to resemble the road car that they are modeled after. Just about nothing else other than this, in this particular case, they use the majority of the base engine, which was in this road car, an S58, which is a 3-liter inline 6-cylinder twin turbocharged. This base engine in this car is probably 95% the production engine, with just some oil system modifications. So that is very similar to their to a BMW road car. And then after that, it's a lot of carbon fiber bits, a much wider track, a much longer car, again for handling in general. And then, yeah, for aerodynamic advantages for heat dissipation and downforce, flat floor, rear diffuser. None of those exist on a road car. Driver comforts and driver operation, there are obviously a dash display which displays a plethora of information to the drivers. There's also a CAS camera, a collision avoidance system camera, which looks out the back of the car, will highlight cars as they're approaching and put arrows where they're at in location to their car's position. And then there's also an IMSA yellow flag safety dash, which it will notify the driver so they have a better idea of the track conditions. Steering wheel obviously has a whole bunch of functions, from radio and drink bottle activation to traction control adjustments, ABS adjustments, engine map adjustments. Obviously steering functions. The clutch in this car, or clutch pedal if you will, is a clutch lever on the steering wheel that's only used really to leave the pit box and then come to a complete stop. There's an anti-stall function which will just take it out of, put it in a bit of a false neutral. So there are shift paddles and clutch paddles on the back of the steering wheel. AC, there's a very efficient air conditioning system in this car that keeps the drivers cool. A very time-saving, beneficial update that they've done to this Evolution car is they've gone away from a mechanically adjustable differential in the gearbox. This runs a transaxle mounted gearbox, so the differential, the gears, the starter, alternator is all mounted to the transaxle of the car. What they've done now, instead of mechanics having to take the differential out to adjust the preload, it's now externally adjustable with basically a bolt and a spring, so they can quickly, much quicker, adjust the preload during a session. Instead of where it used to take an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours to do, they can do it in a matter of minutes now. So that's a much more efficient way of going about changing the preload. I think globally what they're trying to do is make the car more drivable for every level of driver. For something to be more drivable, even for the pro drivers, it really goes back to tire degradation, traction control interference, and ABS activation. If there is a more consistent tire contact to the racetrack during an entire stint, it makes it easier for them to consistently go quicker without losing the car, without having issues with braking or handling as they're longer in the stint. So it is a definite, seemingly, we've only ran the car a little bit so far, but a definite step forward by BMW and all their engineering group. So we use 2 different data logging systems, both of which drivers can look at, do overlays. They can overlay a variety of, from steering input to brake application. There's more information available to them than I could even attempt to explain. A lot of channels and a lot of information. So going into this, this is an IMSA sanctioned test. So they are somewhat regulating it, which gives a head start on the 2025 official test, which will be in January, because we start working on the implementation of certain, again, back to the torque sensors and their integration. Now the series will use the torque sensors to, how would I say this, manage the power of all the cars in the class. So they'll measure the actual output at the wheel, and the series logger comes in and sets the power level at what the cars run at. So what it'll do is it makes them have the adjustability on what power output, and it is also at certain speeds that the cars use. So we no longer in our case, we with turbochargers, we used to regulate the boost control. Now they preset what the power level is going to be, and the car responds to manage that power level throughout its whole stint. So that is a big difference, and getting those systems integrated from BMW Motorsport and the IMSA scrutineering side, getting that all to work properly gives us a big step forward on getting back here in 2025. I think for us here at Paul Miller Racing, going from a single GTD Pro car, which we had come off of a phenomenal 2023 season, winning the GTD Championship, and 5 races that season, to stepping up to GTD Pro, and 2024 was a big deal for us. Now we are going to a 2-car GTD Pro effort next year, so it gives us an ability to not only use more drivers, but to gather information and work on car setup changes at a faster rate. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that shakes out. We finished 4th in the championship this year, won the Endurance Cup Championship, which is based on, obviously, as it says, the endurance rounds. So that was a good accomplishment for us in the first year, and maybe we can try and win a championship next year. Yeah, I would say following IMSA on, I believe it's mostly on Peacock, some on NBC, are all televised, and or just come out to a race and see it in person is clearly the best way to experience it.
Want to see more content like this? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And for more information, visit us online at grassrootsmotorsports.com.